guess these last two games, you've seen a common thread in the second half, what's gone wrong in the second half, and also just how do you get a team to kind of develop a killer instinct in trying to close the game?
Well, there's a couple things. One, I think you've got to, at some point in time, you do have to give your opponent some credit too, and it's not always on us, even though you always look at it like it is us. And it's been our defense as much as anything, and we came out, even again at TCU, our offense wasn't what we wanted it to be, but defensively is where it really, I thought our aggressiveness wasn't there. We knew they would come out and start driving the ball, and they made some shots too. Now in the second half, they started making some shots. We didn't make any, and I think what it gets down to, as much as anything for us, is how do we handle adversity? When things don't, when we're playing well, then understanding the game well enough to have enough respect for the game, knowing that we're in a league and we're playing against teams that are going to fight back, and they're not just going to go away. And when that happens, when they start coming back, how do we respond? And that's what we haven't done a really good job of. And it's either been really, for the most part, at the beginning of the second half, or somewhere, before the most part, really before the 5-minute mark going the game. And so it's something that we continue to talk about, and I've got to get them to understand it. It's, I've said before, after every game, I look at myself and know that I can do a better job, and but we know that we've got to have everybody doing their part. And when you're not making shots, we need to be able to go inside and try to score a little bit. The guy that we really need to do that for us as much as anybody is Robert Huff. And he had a tough game at TCU where he just really wasn't engaged the way we need him to be. But teammates know, he knows, his teammates know. We've all obviously talked about everything. But we need him. We need him in a big way, and we need him, if no other reason, in a big way like that when we're struggling to shoot the ball. Just miss shots, that's part of it, but we need to. And we driving. I mean, a big part of what we need to do, is we need to be aggressive driving and try to get to the free throw line that way, and not just rely on shooting threes.
Rick, you talked about John calling you when the Texas stuff was happening and telling you about this job. How much did you know about this job before he called, and how much did it change your opinion of the opening, if at all?
Well, I don't know if you know a lot about any job until you really get there, and know everything. But I've known John for a long time, and he's a true friend. He really is, and somebody that I've said before to you guys. I mean, if I needed something, if I called him, he started trying to explain it to him. He'd say, "Just stop. What do you need?" That's the kind of friend he is, and I think he's a great basketball coach. He's a Hall of Fame coach. He should be. He's won everywhere he's been, and what I love about him is, and what I think makes him special is the tremendous loyalty he has with his players, and they love him. And I think that speaks volumes about it. But I trust him to know that he would not ever tell me anything that he didn't believe. He wouldn't just say it to say it. And when his exact words were that he thinks it's one of the top jobs in this league, and can be one, can be as good as anybody. And so he actually said to me, he said, "You need to take that job." And he said to me, he said, "I don't like the way you're being treated there right now." And he said, "I think you ought to take that job." But I just, like anybody on the outside, you don't know until you really get in. And I obviously knew Dave Hart and what he was about, and that was a comfort before as I started talking to him.
John Calipari is known as a great recruiter. Do you think he's underrated as a floor coach?
I think he's a great basketball coach. I think he's great. And you know what? That's jealousy. People that try to say that he's not a good coach, that is just somewhat borderlines on ignorance, to be honest with you. I mean, John Calipari has won everywhere he's been, and he hasn't always had the best players. And I don't think people realize what it's like to have a group of great players to coach. It's one of the hardest things, it's one of the biggest things that I learned in this business. When I was at Providence. I actually said this to my team yesterday about it. And I was at George Mason and Providence and Clemson. I said, boy, I wish I could have a job where you get all those great players. One, it's not as easy as everybody thinks to get them, and when you get them, it's totally different because you have to teach so much. Understand everywhere they go play, they're somebody's Super Bowl. They got the A team from the radio and TV. From TV, probably radio too. And for anybody not to think that he's a great coach, he's one of the greatest. I'm telling you. If you look at what he's done and how he's been, everywhere, how he's done it, I don't. And you know, he's not afraid to speak the truth, and because of that, some people don't like it. He's not afraid to take people on either. You know, and he's very loyal. If you again, I know how he is with the media. If he feels like you're not fair with him, he's gonna let you know, and which he should. And a lot of coaches won't do that. I think he's as real as there is a coach in this game. And I know him too, on a personal level, with a friend that we met years and years ago that we lost, back a couple months ago. That I know him in a different way too. How kind and generous he is, and the way he goes about things. And but if anyone ever says that John Calipari is not a great coach, a Hall of Fame coach, they're speaking from either jealousy or idiocy, being an idiot about it. I don't know what word I put on it, but you can't deny that. You can't.
Coach, just Kentucky, since that loss they had a couple of weeks ago, it seems like that kind of lit a fire under them. What have you seen different from them in the past 3 or 4 games?
I think chemistry has been good. I think that's the one thing. The fact that they got terrific guard play, and I still think they're looking to establish an inside presence too. And it looks like they're wanting Alex Porters to be that guy that they can get to. But excellent guard play. And again, I go back to John's teams. He's going to keep fiddling around with it and meshing it together and figure out what works. If it means shortening your bench to do that, he'll do that. But they just continue to improve, and I go back to, I think when you think of Kentucky, they've got to be on every night, and some kids it take them a little bit longer to probably figure that out, as opposed to some of, I don't care how many stars you put by a recruit's name, they come in. It's never as easy as they thought it would be, and I think he does probably the best job of anybody at working those guys in there early. But the environment they live in is incredible, and so I think again it takes some guys to adjust to that too, probably as well. But on the court, his teams have always gotten better. They've never stayed the same.